Introducing Tundra Football League.
And fellow FTFLers, it is I, host of the FTFL Weekly Update, owner of the Runnin' Wild Hulkamaniacs, the real king of the FTFL, and lest us never forget that song deep down in your heart. That's right, it is I, Brett Sieber, and week 3 is in the books. And my oh my, what a week it was. Either you showed up or you done got blowed up. We had 2 games that were decided each by half a point, and 3 games where teams had their doors blown completely smooth off. Oh my goodness. And one of those happened to be Ryan Deesum, who continues his dominance over Matt. He is now 14-2 lifetime against Matt. If he played against I and Matt each and every week, Ryan Deesum would be the greatest fantasy football team in the world. Alas, he doesn't, so he isn't. 1 week after the king proudly declared, "I'm back, baby," he got thumped off with his head. The Hulkamaniacs came calling. 2 teams left out of the 10 in our league each and every week have scored 100+ points. And oh, by the way, they face off in week 4. That's right, Mana, 3-time Lucky Pants champ Mana, taking on yours truly for a share of first place, of course, depending on what happens with Linkowitz's game this week. And speaking of Linkowitz, loses yet another running back, Tariq Cohen, his best backup on the bench, out for the year with an ACL. And now, just as of today, we are hearing that the Titans game will be postponed. Maybe they play Monday, but maybe they don't play. And if they don't play, who does John have left at the running back position? Because that would take out Derrick Henry. Maybe he can make a trade, and there was a big trade this week in the FTFL. Apparently, it is acceptable to quit before the final week of the season while you're still in playoff contention. Who knew? Who knew? The Mixing Cocktails defending undisputed champs of the FTFL, best grade coming out of the draft, fell to 0-3, and now they are making changes. Connor Ridley out, Christian McCaffrey in? That's right. Let's go ahead and get to the games. First off, Ryan Deesum's fantasy football team coming in at 2-0, taking on the Architect. I already told you what happened. He whooped him up something fierce. 70 points was the difference, 136.5 to 66.5. Now, in some ways, this was just another fantasy football game between 2 teams. However, in other ways, it was a complete just ass whipping is what it was. Patrick Mahomes, good Lord, 40 points. Allen Robinson III is probably going home every night, kneeling down next to his bed and praying to the Lord above that Nick Foles continues to be his quarterback, because what a week he had. 23 points for him. Aaron Jones only notched 11. However, it would have been enough for a tie in another game, but more on that later. McKinnon, new pickup, 11.5. Kareem Hunt, 11. Tampa Bay's defense, 19. Last year, Ryan Deesum was 6-7 in the regular season. We talked about it. His first losing record in several seasons. He is already halfway there to his win total of last year. 3-0 he goes. Matt, just not a lot of real great news here. David Carr, 16. Derek Carr. David Carr was his brother, who's long gone. Ha! Derek Carr, 16. Ezekiel Elliott, 11. Adam Thielen, 9.5. Leonard Fournette, after a breakout week, comes all the way back down to earth with just 1 point. Wentz with 20. Fuller with 10 on the bench. Wouldn't have even mattered because, yeah, he got done smoked. Next up, a man who smokes all sorts of meat. Team Linkowitz taking on the DSOM award-winning visitors from Planet B with questionable motives. 2-0 for John, 0-2. Now, this is a rematch of the prior week where John had won. This time, it was 2 late sacks in the Baltimore-KC Monday night game. Second to last drive for Baltimore. Those 2 points put Adam Swart up for good. 100-99.5. He edges out Big John. Boy, if you're Swart, Keenan Allen 20.5, Big Ben 18. Mike Davis in replacement of Christian McCaffrey had 16. Kenny Golladay in his first performance this year with a smooth 11. Kenyon Drake just 4.5. 22.5 points on the year for a first round pick. Now, he wasn't taken before Aaron Jones, but not real great for Drake. If you're Linkowitz, not a bad week. Derrick Henry, 21. Again, we talked about he might miss action this week due to the COVID test in Tennessee. Cooper Kupp, 16.5. Tyreek Hill, 14.5. Will Lutz, 14. Evan Ingram, 1.5 points, averaging 4. Had he hit his average, John would have won. Like I said earlier, Tariq Cohen tore his ACL. And we really don't know the status of what's going to happen with the Titans game. So John loses this week, falls to 2-1. 3-way tie in the North. More on that later. But going into next week, John all of a sudden finds himself staring into the chasm that is the free agent running back market. Good luck with that, Mr. Linkowitz. Next up, Manah, 3-time Lucky Pants champ Manah, taking on the Mixing Cocktails. Manah, 1-1. One of those 2 teams that I talked about that has scored 100 points in each week, and he did again this week, and he put up 114. And Andy, the Mixing Cocktails have struggled to get it going, and the struggles continue. He only put up 70. If you're Markster, Dak Prescott continues to shine after that first week. Doldrums, he had 38. Nick Chubb, 18.5. DeAndre Hopkins, who was one of the players taken in front of Aaron Jones. We should probably throw him on the list. Of course, the list will be updated in just a little bit. Darrell Waller, 1 point. He had 5 points and 18 points in week 1 and 2, respectively. Josh Allen on the bench again, 36 points. And of course, Jeff was telling me all about how Josh Allen is a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers. Now, Josh Allen is the number 2 scorer in the league currently, maybe 3 after that Monday night game. Woods, 14.5 on the bench. Both these players would have just made the pounding that Andy took just worse. Speaking of Andy, really not a lot of great things to report. His highest scorer of the week, James Conner, is now a member of the King of the FTFL. He put up 16. Lamar Jackson put up 10. San Fran's defense put up 13. Those are the only 3 that were in double digits. Speaking of Lamar Jackson, I think a lot of Andy's troubles, you can look towards this and say, all right, last year, through 3 weeks, Lamar Jackson had 80 points. This year, he has just 46. He averaged 26.8 points a game last year. Currently, he is only averaging 15.3. If my Evergrove Heights math is correct, that's 11 plus points. That's a big deal. Also, Joe Mixon, he's averaging 5 points a game. He had 5 points this week. He's averaging just over 5 a game. In his last 9 games last year, he was averaging 12.2. There's 7 more points. So now we're looking at an 18, almost, closing in on 20-point difference from where he was at last year. Maybe that would have pushed Andy over the edge in at least one of his games. But maybe we'll never know because he said the fire sale is on. He has basically called it quits while still in playoff contention. However, that seems to be acceptable here in the FTFL. Now, something real exciting. Break from the action. We have for you a brand new segment. He was a guest last year on one of the shows. We did a little interview. It went well. He inquired about coming back. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I give you Macho's Musings. Oh, yeah! Oh, yeah! Welcome to Macho's Musings. That's right. I'm gonna muse, and I am the Macho Man. First name Macho, last name Man. Yeah, that's right. And I'm gonna talk about some of the things that are happening in the FTFL. Number 1, I don't know, man. When you sit down and you do a draft, and everyone's got a plan. That's right, everyone's got a plan. Do they get punched in the face? Yeah. My friend Mike said that. Yeah. The plan was, if you were here, plan all along from the beginning, not ever altering, never wavering. No help. Gonna take Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Well, I've got something to say about Clyde Edwards. Yeah. He's not. And I repeat, he's not the Macho Man. No, ain't nobody the Macho Man. That's who I am. Yeah. No, but he is not Aaron Jones. He is not for a second, not for one solitary second is he Aaron Jones. Oh, no, he's not. And when you took him over, Aaron Jones, you made a grave mistake. Error all the way. Mark it down. Take it to the bank. You are gonna regret it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Musing number 2. Yeah, number 2. That's right. Second one. After 1, before 3. That's the way it's always gonna be. Yeah. Oh yeah. Visitors from Planet B. I don't know if you're coming. I don't know if you're going. And I'm not even entirely sure what Planet B is. No, I'm not. But I think if you're gonna come to the Macho Man's planet, that's right here on the big blue orb, that's right, Earth, that's right, Macho Man's Earth. If you're gonna come here with questionable motives, Macho Man's got a question for you. Yeah, I've got a question, and that question is, which way is up there, visitors from Planet B? Which way is up? I'll tell you, it's the opposite of where I'm gonna send you. You're going down. That's right. When you challenge the Macho Man, when you come to Earth, then you want to get in the face of every single Earth thing. Macho Man's not gonna have it. No, he's not. Oh, yeah. All right, now, musing number 3 from the Macho Man. That's right, last stop on the train track. Into the line for you, and this one is coming right at you, mixing cocktails. I think maybe you've been mixing a little too many as of late, but that's not the point here. No, it's not. That is not the point right now. The point is this. You were a fat cat, my friend, a fat cat indeed. You came in as the champion of the FTFL. Yeah, and then if that wasn't enough, you had the best draft grade. When it was all said and done, you had everything. But you know what happens? That's right. You know what happens to fat cats every now and again? They get slaughtered. That's right. Fat cats get slaughtered. That's what's happening right now. You're getting slaughtered and you're getting desperate. You're trading away Connor and Ridley for an injured Christian McCaffrey. There's reeks of desperation, and the Macho Man knows. He knows when desperation is on the line, and you mixing cocktails are a desperate man. And there's no room in the FTFL for desperate man. No, there's not. No, there's not. The Macho Man has spoken. Dig it! Woo! All right, so I hope you enjoyed it. He has signed on for a few episodes of that, so we will see more of the Macho Man later, and I can't wait for that. Before we get into the games, a quick piece of fan mail. This came in from an individual named Aaron Stewart, out of Egan, Maine, and he writes the following. Hey, Brett, I've been following the FTFL for a long time now. It seems every year the Mixing Cocktails, the king of the FTFL, and all of Adam Swartz's teams are perennial powerhouses. Meanwhile, the Hulkamaniacs, Pack Attack, and Linkowitz usually end up at the bottom of the league. This year, though, it's the complete opposite. Do you see this as the new norm for the league, with the once weaker teams now being the teams to beat for years to come? Thanks, Brett. Love the new studio. It could use some more decorations or Christmas lights, though. A quick note on that. Yeah, we're heading into the holiday seasons, my friend. We have Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. We'll get a little more festive up in the Ice Cave. Don't worry. As far as the dominant teams, you seemingly left out the single greatest team in FTFL history, the Ryan Deason Fantasy Football Team. I don't know if that was a personal slight or not. You're correct. The 3 teams you mentioned earlier, Mixon, King, and you, in Adam Swartz teams, have all been perennially good. Perennially good? I don't even know if that's a word. While myself, Eric, and Linkowitz through the last few years have had a rough go of it. I think 3 weeks in is a tough, it's a small sample size, so I can't really say that that's exactly what's going to happen. It does look good for the Hulkamaniacs right now, for sure. Team Linkowitz has started a little bit of a resurgence in the last year or two as well. We got 10 weeks to go. It's a long season, a lot of season left. Hopefully, we get all those weeks in and then some. Thanks for the fan mail. Always appreciate it. Now, on to the last 2 games. The Pack Attack at 1-1 coming in to take on the Monkeys at 1-1. And of course, Pack Attack has been a center while he was a focus in Macho's Musings. We've been tallying up points. We're going to get to that, of course, this week because 2 of the participants on the chart were in this game. This was another one of those games that was decided by a half a point, and it this time is in favor for Saltmarsh, who got out of the gate slow and now has won 2 in a row, 105 to Eric's 104.5. If you're salty, 29 points by the Colts defense. Good Lord. James Robinson. Who dis? He got himself 23. Kyler Murray notched 22. Chris Godwin 12.5. However, could miss the next couple of weeks with a hamstring injury that might hamstring Saltmarsh as we go forward. If you're Eric, again, being absolutely carried by the stupidest of faces, Russell Wilson. Now, I understand. You're like, whoa, Brett, your Hulkamaniacs are living and dying on the right arm of Russell Wilson. And we sure are. So keep making crappy meals, Russ. We're with you all the way. 42 points for Wilson, 12 for Juju, 11 for the Patriots. Only meager 10.5 for the first-round pick, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Julian Edelman put up 1 point. He'd been averaging 10-plus points. Had he hit his average, maybe Eric gets the win. Now, of course, like I said, James Robinson, 23, Clyde Edwards, 10.5. Remember, Aaron Jones had 11 earlier, so they knew an updated chart stands as follows. The leader, and should have been number 1 draft pick, Aaron Jones at 61. The dark horse, James Robinson, 45. And the man selected to carry a franchise for years to come, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, a mere 31.5 points. We'll get that up there, and we'll crash our way in to the final game of the week, which, of course, oh, that's right, the King Bowl. The king of the FTFL taking on your king, the Hulkamaniacs. Both teams coming in at 1-1. Both teams looking to step closer to that magical number of 7 wins. And it's this guy that did it, 134.5, almost doubled up Sid. He's 71.5 points. I beat Sid last year too. The last time I started 2-1, you got to go all the way back to 2017. I did go 7-6 that year and make the playoffs. Either I'm on to something or I'm on something. For me, Alvin Kamara, 34.5 points, and what a trade that is slowly shaping up to be. Of course, a lot of season left, so we'll see. Tyler Lockett blew it up at 32.5. Aaron Rodgers, 22. DK Metcalf, 14, and would have been a lot more had he just ran the entire way into the end zone. Mike Evans, 13. Loved Evans' stat line. 2 catches, 2 yards, 2 touchdowns. 13 points. Thank you. Jefferson and Lazard on the bench, a combined 40.5 points. I've got receivers for days. If you're the king, Dalvin Cook, 23 points. Austin Eckler, 19.5. And then the next high scorer had 10, and it was your kicker, Ryan Suckup. No one else above 4.5. Gardner, the mistake, Minshew put 4. His bench wasn't helpful. Really, it was an ugly week. He falls to 1-2. All right, here we go. Stud, the dud, and the decent before we wrap this up and send this home. Get my boas going here. All right. Start of the week, Patrick Mahomes. Ryan Diesel Fantasy Football Team is on fire. They're 3-0. And the main reason is because of Patrick Mahomes. Honorable mention, Prescott, 38, Kamara, 34.5, both in winning efforts for their teams. The dud is Andy's team. Just an underperforming team. I talked about some of the stats on that and where he could be if his numbers were similar to last year. I mean, maybe Evan Ingram and Julian Edelman for falling below their averages and costing their team the half-point losses that they had. I suppose honorable mention for them. The Decent Award, nothing really new this week outside of the fact that, oh, by the way, Eric, had you had Aaron Jones, you wouldn't have lost, you would have tied. You'd be 1-1-1. And with that, a little bit closer to the top instead of the bottom where you currently reside. Remember, folks, Eric has never won the DSM. Maybe this is his year. All right, as we head into week 4, what is easily the biggest early season matchup that we've had to date. The Hulkamaniacs at 2-1 taking on Mana, 3-time Lucky Pants champ Mana, also at 2-1. Remember, these are the only 2 teams that have scored 100-plus points each week. It should be an absolute fireworks display. Linkowitz 2-1 taking on the Mixing Cocktails at 0-3. Ryan Diesel Fantasy Football Team at 3-0 taking on the King at 1-2. The Architect at 1-2 coming in to take on the Monkeys at 2-1 in a South battle. And lastly, the Pack Attack at 1-2 taking on the Visitors from Planet B with questionable motives, also at 1-2. Before we get out of here, member of our league, Sid Hagen, lost his grandma this morning. This one, she was amazing, Sid. Super fun lady. This one's to her. All right, folks, well, that about wraps it up for the week, and we're going to go ahead and get on. Is that someone that... Come in! Lizzie, what are you doing here?
Someone dropped off this letter for you at the door.
Now?
Yeah.
What? Who? Like, just
I
came
don't
up
know.
now?
Yeah, just came to the door.
Says Brett Sieber Ice Cave. Coney, Minnesota. I guess thanks. Brett, need to talk to you about this season. We'll be stopping by next week, October 7th, 2020 to chat. See you in the future, Doc.